The Lift & Co. Cannabis Expo returns to the Metro Toronto Convention Centre, November 18th to the 21st. Discover and learn about all things cannabis. Get your tickets at liftexpo.ca. Must be 19 plus to enter and attend.
We're looking to heal the world, and our mission really is to touch the lives of 1 billion people by the year 2025, be it videos, be it seeds, be it products, be it just podcasts and talking and exposing people to new ways of looking at the plant. So I certainly appreciate that question, Dan. And I work really hard, but you know what? This plant worked really hard for my family when I needed it the most. So it's really my blessing, my privilege, my honor to be a partner.
Welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast, the show that inspires, promotes, and gives you a daily dose of inspiration from the people who have used cannabis to change their lives in extraordinary ways. Here's your host, Justin Benton.
Welcome, everybody, to the Miracle Plant Podcast, where we get to talk about this amazing plant with so many names and how it's helped people in extraordinary ways. This week, we're going to have some more fun on Clubhouse, an impromptu podcast recording where we're going to talk with some great people, talk about some incredible subjects about this miracle plant, and just have a good time on Clubhouse. So you all know me, Justin Benton, and my story. We've also got Dan Hemp, who actually helped me launch this podcast. He's got an incredible platform, PodCONX, and MJ Bulls that is helped get our podcast out there to the listeners. And if you're ever curious about starting your own podcast, I always say Dan is the man, Dan the man. So welcome to the show. Dan's also producing as well as the podcast. And it's the first time we've had him on. So Dan, how the heck are you?
I'm great, Justin. This is a little weird for me to be on the other side of the mic. I'm normally the person asking the questions, but thanks for having me today. This is going to be fun.
Absolutely. Dan actually had me on his podcast, one of his shows, Hemp Barons, way back when, many moons ago. So it's exciting to have you on stage, and you're such a wealth of knowledge and such a great guy. Happy to have you here. We also have on stage Villano. She's a comebacker. This is her second time on the Miracle Plant Podcast. She recently just got back from hosting a great event out in Florida, but now she's back in the mountains, enjoying her home with some beautiful weather, writing some apps to get the good word out there and open up some more stores. So Chloe, welcome back to the Miracle Plant Podcast. How the heck are you?
So wonderful, Justin. And thank you for having me on this incredible podcast. I'm such a big fan of all your work and everything that you're doing. So it's a pleasure to be here today and share this beautiful spring sunny day with you and all of the people that tune into the Miracle Plant Podcast.
Awesome. I'm so happy to have you both here. The subject for today that I was going to talk about is just where are we and what are some of where are we going? Because I know there's a lot of confusion about the hemp plant, the cannabis plant, the marijuana plant, the sativa plant. You can go on and on with all these names. And right now, out here in California, we're having some meetings, and we're still working on getting some real clear, defined definitions for hemp and CBD so people can really start to take advantage of this plant. And it was funny, I was on another room here this morning, and we were having some talks about cannabis and hemp, and it was a lot of good scientists and doctors were on there, and we were sharing stories, and it was a really eclectic room that people were talking from both sides of the world, the scientists and the researchers, and then there's the holistic practitioners and the people that have experienced this whole plant in its whole form and complete. And so I was just sharing my story as a room wrapped up, and a couple of people had jumped out and reached out, and I connected with just some really cool people. I look forward to following up with them. But in my DMs on my Instagram, someone asked me, like, when I heard your story about raw cannabis and juicing cannabis and hemp and how it helped your son, it really blows my mind out here in California is why aren't there more people juicing hemp? Why aren't there juice bars? Why aren't there hemp juice bars? And why isn't it everywhere? And why isn't it at farmers markets being sold right next to the kale and the broccoli? And there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, it is being sold. There are not hemp juice bars per se, but there are juice bars that are adding hemp into their options for people, just a wheatgrass shot. And for those that don't know, the plant, the cannabis plant or the hemp plant, whatever you want to call it. The only distinction really is in our country, hemp means less than 0.3% THC. It's all cannabis. It's just a matter of that THC marker. And so there are stores out here. I know of a couple out here in Santa Barbara that have an offer hemp and flower for juicing. And they have just a pure one too, which is really good. It's a Santa Barbara juicing company. And so to answer her question is that, like I said, I'm on the California Hemp Council with Patrick Goggin, and we're in conversations with the governor's office. And we've gotten some pushback from some of the establishment in the cannabis community up there in the Emerald Triangle and a couple other spots that, they feel like the hemp CBD community is maybe getting away with murder because a lot of folks up there had to go through hell and pay crazy taxes and go through all kinds of hoops to get their, businesses up and running. And they don't want to see someone come in with hemp-derived CBD and get them on the shelves. And so there's been a lot of pushback, and it's understandable. And look, it's money plays, that's for sure, out here in California. But the good news is we've all come to the table. We've all aired our grievances and found some common ground. So that there's a really good possibility that within the next few months, we'll have some real clear definitions in California that hemp CBD can be in food, can be in beverages, can even be in dispensaries. And so that's the reason why we're not seeing hemp everywhere as far as like juice bars and things of that nature. So that's really what I just wanted to talk about a little bit today is, again, the whole plant cannabis, juicing it, eating it, and understanding that this is the way that I see it. We've all seen these crazes with kale and celery and juicing and things like that, where I don't remember if you guys remember like a year ago, like this, everything went crazy, celery juice fad, and you couldn't find celery anywhere. And that's the way that I see it unfolding over the next, I would say 3, 4, 5 years before it really hits, but who knows, it could hit next year, where people start to understand this juicing plant. So I'll open it up from there. And if you guys wanted to comment on that or add some questions or whatever, I'll throw the microphone open.
Yeah, Justin, the interview you did last week with Mary that works with you, you did one with Mary, but the one prior to that with your mom, where you guys did a deep dive into CBDA. That was so interesting. I didn't know a lot of that stuff. And as we were editing it, I kept saying, oh my gosh, it makes perfect sense when somebody explains it to you, but the problem is getting the word out there. And like you said, if it was in juice bars, man, I'd add that to my protein shake. It's such a good tool for, I'm getting older. You get done after working out and you can't recover as quickly. And you put that in your protein shake, I'm sure that's got to help. There's just so many benefits to it. And I didn't know the difference between CBD and CBDA until you guys did pretty much back-to-back shows on that. And I think people really want to learn this. Go back and listen to those last 2 shows on the Miracle Plant podcast because they were so well done.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that was really the revelation for us when we were looking for that solution for our son's severe regressive autism diagnosis. So again, when I say regressive, that means that he lost momentum. He lost progress. So he was a healthy, happy kid, speaking, playing t-ball, laughing, interacting, just a normal 2.5-year-old kid. And then wham, we lost language. We lost communication. He went into he was in his own world, and there was tantrums and all this stuff. And we got his diet cleaned up. We got rid of all the gluten and the dairy and the processed foods and anything that causes inflammation. Meat does that as well. You take all the hair tests and to make sure you see what your body can and cannot take, what foods and things like that. You also see what it's in the blood. Like for him, he was registering 99 percentile for heavy metals and pesticides. So his body could not detoxify the toxins in our environment. So that's the inflammation. That's the autoimmune part of it, is your body attacks itself because it doesn't know which cells are good cells and which cells are bad cells. So it attacks all of them. And that's where we see all these complicated autoimmune diseases stemming from inflammation. And so when we cleaned up the diet, we got everything working in his favor. He started to get to communicate again. We taught him how to do all that. And we saw progress. But when we started to introduce the cold pressed cannabis hemp plant, that's when the light bulb went off. Again, it's the story we've heard before, but again, He was at a pumpkin patch. He was throwing a huge tantrum. We had just made some tincture earlier that morning with some hemp I had grown out here in Southern California, and he snapped out of it 2 minutes later, taking the tincture to orally. And so that was the aha moment. And now every morning he gets fresh juice. We use an omega juicer, which is what I recommend. It masticizes, doesn't oxidize the plant material. So we also use kale, carrots, apples, oranges, lemons, some probiotics, really good probiotics from a company called Sunrider. And he gets that juice every morning, along with freshly clipped hemp. Right now I have a nice batch here in my yard, as well as our fields. But California, again, we can grow 3 or 4 outdoor harvests of cannabis and hemp because of the weather that we have. You just got to use the lighting with greenhouses a little bit in the off season. But that was the light bulb for us. And so really what I want to do, my mission, one of them is there's a bunch I have, right? But one is people are juicing hemp in the morning, along with their kale and their carrots and celery, whatever else they're doing. And the second mission is really to get people to just start growing hemp seeds. And we give them away for free. If you go to our website, you can order a free product and just put in the notes, hey, free hemp seeds. And we'll throw hemp seeds in. And then if you go to our YouTube channel, we'll teach you how to grow them. If you have more questions, I'm going to come out with some courses and things like that. But when I leave this earth, one of my things is my legacy or whatever is not really about me, but I just want people to be informed, educated, and just growing hemp in their backyard because it's totally legal. We've been doing it for 30,000 years. We've had a relationship with this plant. And there's such a huge gap between education, understanding, stigma, and everything. And like you said, Dan, you're an expert in hemp and cannabis. And it wasn't till 30 episodes of listening to the Miracle Plant podcast as the producer that it finally resonated and it clicked for you because we went deep down the rabbit hole on how CBDA, the raw version of CBD, really works. So yeah, I'm glad that it clicked, and I'm so happy that we met and you're able to produce this great podcast and allow so many people who want to really learn about the science and the research about this plant. And just so happy. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Dan. So Chloe, I know you're out there in that beautiful weather in the mountains out there writing an application. Do you have any comments or questions or thoughts about the subject we're rambling on about here?
Absolutely. Lots of questions, lots of comments. Moreover, I really love to come in and support and really see all the amazing work that you guys are doing. The hemp industry is so new. And so it's something that was being built as we speak. And the first real regulations are coming out. And there's a million questions that I have. And I think a lot of comments that I have also, but I'm also enjoying just listening to you and bringing up these subjects and learning, which is my favorite thing to do.
And teaching. And I know that I sent some products out for you to try. And if you wanted to maybe, because I assume it's probably the first time you've ever come into contact or experienced whole plant CBDA products, whether they be tinctures or topicals, and your little Geo dog as well. If you had any experiences, because I know for those that don't know, Chloe is an absolute legend in the space, in the cannabis space. She's the owner and president of Cloverleaf University. She's an educator first and foremost, and she's really a celebrity in the cannabis space. And she has the Cannabis Business Awards and the Cannabis Global Awards, and she just had a great event out in Florida for 420. But I imagine the products that I sent you to try and check out was your first kind of experience with cold pressed cannabis or hemp or CBDA, and what was your kind of takeaway on it?
So I can honestly say, and I'm not saying this because I'm on your podcast, I try a lot of products, and there was something so different about your products. And I wasn't feeling good. I took them myself. Remember when I talked to you and you said, oh, you got to take a couple droplets it was the blackberry cobbler, which is the most amazing tasting tincture. But what I love about your tinctures is they're so thick. Like you just pull them apart, you could tell they're just full of nutrients. They taste delicious, and really they work. My dog's been having some stomach problems. He's a little Yorkie, so it's common. And I gave him that. It cleared him right up. And I've also was not feeling well. I was actually in pain, which I'm one of those people that believes in CBD and everything, but sometimes the pain is a lot. You got to take something like, ibuprofen or something else, Tylenol, to help. But your tincture really did work. It took away my pain. And I actually just took some right before I came in and saw you. It's one of my favorite products. And so it is my first experience with the cold press and this type of extraction and how you're doing it. So I've been blown away, Justin, at what you guys are doing on your farm, and just what the level that you're taking this medicine to is truly impressive. And I'd recommend anybody in the audience definitely try the CBD 101 because it is incredible products.
Thank you so much. And I'm really glad that helps. And you bring up an interesting point too. And if anyone does want to try our products for free, just click on my face and scroll down to my Instagram. And you can either DM me free CBD or free hemp seeds, and we'll take care of you that way. Or there's also a link on my profile that you can click on a button and it'll take you there as well. You bring up another interesting point is with your dog Geo, which may be the cutest dog in the world. So if you haven't seen Chloe's dog, then click on her Instagram profile and scroll through, and I'm pretty sure you'll see a few great pictures right off the bat there. But a lot of people don't know about the power of the cannabis hemp plant and all of its anti-inflammation and all of its, help with regulating the body for anxiety and sleep and other complicated ailments, is how well it works with dogs. And so we have a product line that we make. It's just called Bacon. It's got a little paw on it. We worked with some veterinarians and we were putting it together. And it works great. I always say dogs are our number one customers because dogs don't have the conscious mind to screw it up. Like us as humans, we can sit there and say, it's working because, or it's not working because, or is it the CBD that's working? Or maybe it's just me. Or I notice that especially within general guys, we tend to over-rationalize things. And with the dogs, they have a perfect, balance and a perfect connection to their body and intuitiveness. And so when they feel better, if let's say they've hurt their leg or their hip or something, when they feel better, they'll put the weight down. They're not trying to think about it. And so that's when the owners will come back to us and say, oh my God, he's acting like a puppy again. And then the neighbor will say, I thought your dog died. I haven't seen that dog in 2 years. And the dog's out going for a walk. And so, again, dogs have endocannabinoid systems just like humans do. They're a little bit different. And one major way that they are different is that our endocannabinoid system, if we get too much THC delta 9, the only real intoxicating part of the plant naturally occurring, our bodies will actually flush it out of the endocannabinoid system. There is a release mechanism where we can flush it out. And so it would never get to any kind of toxic level. Unfortunately, with dogs, they don't have the same system built in. So you do not want to get your dog high on THC delta 9 because it can have a toxic effect if you're giving your dog too much. So I know there's some funny TV shows or whatever, just and heads up there, you don't want to get your dog high. But again, if you're giving them raw, cold pressed hemp or cannabis, you're not giving them the decarboxylated version of THC. So essentially, even if you had the highest strain of cannabis with THC in it, I'm talking 35, 40%, and you fed that to your dog or you juiced it for your dog, that would not get your dog high. It wouldn't have any bad effects because that is THCA. The A stands for acidic. That's the precursor of THC. That's the way the plant actually creates it, which to me is interesting. When you go to the dispensary, it says THC level. Actually, that's wrong because it's THCA level. That's the form that it is in when it's in its plant form when you look at the flower or the bud. Now, once you put fire to it, once you put heat, that will convert that molecule, that acidic acid state, and that will convert THCA into THC delta 9. And that is the only real part of the plant that has any psychoactive or psychotropic effects to it. And that's the part that gets you high. So I'm so happy Gio loves it. He is the cutest dog in the world. And I know, we were talking one time and he had bumped into the wall because his bed had moved. And I know it helped him out with getting a little loop or whatever. And especially as a puppy, I know the anxiety sometimes. I have 2 labs. And when we had they're 3 now, but when they were younger, they would get a little wound up at night and we would give them a dropper or 2 dropper fulls of our bacon flavored CBD oil. And they'd calm down and sleep throughout the night. So there's some more reasons for the dog. So I'm happy that it's working so well for Gio.
Oh no, you should see him now. He looks really cute with his little face peeking out of the cage where he's in trouble. But yeah, I remember that day I moved his bed because I was washing it, and he's used to running from one side of the house all the way into the bedroom and jumps into his bed. And so he did that without realizing it was there and just smashed into the wall. And I was so worried. And so that's when I gave him the CBD, but he just he's such a little tough guy. You know how it is when you're young, you just shake it right off. And of course, mom's a little over paranoid, but I'm very grateful that he has your products and that we have you. And also, as part of the university now, Justin is, for all of you in the audience, is one of the advisory board members for our hemp program, which we're going to be launching here in the next year. So it's very exciting, Justin, to be on this and see the advancements and movements we're going to be doing in the hemp industry in the next 24 months. It's mind-boggling.
Justin, you seem like you're everywhere. I know on your Instagram it's a mission to heal the world, and seriously, you are one of the few people that are actually walking the walk, talking the talk. You are everywhere, working with everybody, giving everybody a hand. It's going to be pretty tricky to do it all by yourself. I know you have you're like the Pied Piper. There's all these people that are just that worship and want to work with you. How can people get involved if they want to be part of your posse?
That's a great question, my friend. There's a couple of different ways. And first of all, it depends on what you're looking for. So if a person is looking for a solution, an answer, an alternative for a health ailment, then absolutely reach out to me, whether it's through Instagram or shoot me an email. You can go to our website, 101cbd.org. That's a good place to start. And just let us know what you're looking for. What's the issue? If you go to the website, 101cbd.org, you'll also see on the top there, you'll see a book a free consultation. And so with that, you'll be able to book a Zoom call with my mom, of all people, who helped us with the guiding us through all of the pitfalls and everything we needed to do to get my son, his brain fog cleared up from that severe regressive diagnosis. And so she does it's incredible. She's very well versed. She's a 40-year school psychologist and an integrative nutritionist, a master herbalist. And she's just got an incredible wealth of knowledge for helping. And she's a healer, really, is what she is. And if you have any questions, that would be a great place to start. If you want to really dive deep, if you're just one of those people like, hey, I just want to try it and see what it's all about, then again, we have if you DM me or hit me up in Instagram, there's a link there on our profile link to send you a free bottle. You just have to pay like postage. So those are a good place to start. If you're looking for, I want to get into the industry, I want to carry your products. Again, so for like wholesale and things like that, we always still will send samples because we don't want to work with anybody that doesn't really have a passion for our products and love our products. We don't even take investor money unless somebody is just in love with our products and they're just like, you know what, I want to be a part of this organization. And then we'll do like some real simple investment vehicles for you if you want to be a part. So there's lots of different ways. We also sell our products in bulk processing too. So we'll give the raw bulk material to folks if they want to formulate and they want to make their own products. That's what we've done that for dozens of companies. And we also offer some white labeling and some private label options as well if people are interested. And it's really a right fit. We're not looking to make a gazillion dollars. We're looking to heal the world. And our mission really is to touch the lives of 1 billion people by the year 2025, be it videos, be it seeds, be it products, be it just podcasts and talking and exposing people to new ways of looking at the plant. So I certainly appreciate that question, Dan. And I work really hard, but you know what? This plant worked really hard for my family when I needed it the most. So it's really my blessing, my privilege, my honor to be a partner.
This is the sound cannabis companies hear when they try to place an ad on Facebook, Twitter, or Google. The tech overlords' arbitrary discrimination against our industry is unfair. But until they change their restraint of trade policies, we need an alternative way to share our message with our customers. Cannabis podcasts are one of the last advertising platforms not controlled by tech monopolies. And for as low as $9.99 a week, cannabis companies have the freedom to play their uncensored commercials to customers around the world. Don't let tech bosses dictate how you run your business. Go to podconx.com. That's podconx.com. And for just $9.99 per week, you can go from this to this.
Oh, and you've got some great people. They're almost like ambassadors, like brand ambassadors. They know the products inside and out. Like, that's their job.
It's funny you should mention that. You must be reading my mind or reading my mail, as they say. So we have a brand ambassador that just popped up on stage here. We are recording for the Miracle Plant podcast, and LaTara has been on the Miracle Plant podcast. And she has an incredible story, and she's also a brand ambassador. LaTara, welcome to the stage. Welcome back to the Miracle Plant podcast. And do you want to share your story? How you doing?
Thank you, Justin. Hello, everyone. Dan, Chloe, Jacqueline, Maroon. Yeah, sure. I'm so sorry that I popped in late. I have friends visiting here from California, and we just left Red Rock. And so let me just say, with that being said, I would not have the energy to go and walk trails and look at mountains and go to Red Rock if it wasn't for my CBD that I get from 101 CBD. Every morning I take the Alleviate and the Boost because I have multiple sclerosis. For those that don't know, I have multiple sclerosis, and I was diagnosed in 2011. And that is my reasoning for using, sorry, Zaria's interrupting me. She wants something to drink. That's my reasoning for using CBD every day for the last few years. It's completely helped me have a better quality of life. When it says that this is the miracle plant, it truly is a miracle plant. My daughter, Zaria, is 18 years old, and she was diagnosed with epilepsy at the age of 5 and autism at the age of 2. So she's had a lot of trials and triumphs, back and forths, different medications for years. And behold, we found Autism Hope Alliance that introduced us to 101 CBD. And she's been taking CBD consistently, even after consulting with her physicians, her pediatrician, and her neurologist. Everybody was on board for me to give her CBD for her treatment of autism and epilepsy. And it has done a tremendous 360 in her life. She's doing better in school. She's more focused. She's just doing things more independently. And like now she's talking more. She is just completely different Zaria, and it's all positive. That's one of the things that I'm really proud of. She's just inspired me. She's a warrior. I know I'm a warrior too, but I really take my hat off to my daughter who has issues on an everyday basis, because they said that her seizures are happening in her sleep, and actually on both sides of her brain. So she's been having seizures for a while, but with the CBD, it's helped control them. And I thank God for that. I thank God for my 101 CBD family. I am really out here every day, literally speaking to people on CBD and how it's helping people heal their bodies. If it's not strangers on the streets, it's family and friends, or someone who's reaching out to me through social media and wants to get more information with regard to the product. I can literally say that it's keeping me out of a wheelchair. It's keeping me from having a cane. It took away my migraine headaches. I used to have migraine headaches all the time, just really bad, to the point where it would make me nauseated. And I was taking a few different prescribed medications from my neurologist. And now to this day, I don't even take those medications. And it truly is a miracle. I cannot say that enough for anybody that is looking to get into CBD and using it for their health. I love being a brand ambassador. I will say that all of this inspired me to go to school and get my certification in cannabis, and I just wanted to just learn everything with regard to cannabis. And between my daughter and myself, you, Justin, your mom, Janet, she's awesome. I'm like telling people every day to sign up for consultations with her to help them get started on the CBD treatment and get some advice from her. A really beautiful, smart woman. And I thank God for my circle right now. I really do. Meeting everybody, being here today. I'm really passionate about just trying to help educate people and let them know that there is a healthier alternative. And even if you have some type of condition, even more to stay consistent with your CBD use, and it will help you. I'm really glad that I was one of those moms to being open with my daughter, because there are a lot of parents who are not educated on CBD. They don't understand. And so since they don't understand, they just choose not to use it for their children who are struggling with different health issues. So I'm just on a mission to help heal the world. I'll probably be a brand ambassador for life with 101 CBD, just because I know for a fact that it is helping heal people. And it's truly a miracle plant. So really glad to be here today. Thanks.
Well, we're super happy to have you here, and you have just such an incredible story how this miracle plant not only helped you with a severe autoimmune disease like MS, but your daughter with two tough cards dealt with the seizures and epilepsy and autism, and that you were able to find this plant through, like you said, the Autism Hope Alliance, who we've partnered with. And that's what we're all about, is paying it forward and finding families like yours, and then having the same success that you've been having, and then you paying that forward and helping out other families and continue to educate and further your education. It's just been an absolute treat. So yeah, just so happy to have you here, and just keep paying it forward. That's what we're all about.
Justin,
Yep.
Can I jump in for a second? If any of the listeners, you got to listen to LaTara. It was one of the best interviews you guys did. It was back in November. It was episode 6. And I remember talking to you. Your kids surprised you on your birthday, I think, right for that interview. They just said, hey, your mom, we're getting in a plane and we're going, and there's nothing you can do about it. We're taking you on your birthday trip.
Yeah, so I was completely surprised. My daughter, my son, they took me out to a Japanese steakhouse actually for dinner. And everybody in my family knew that we were all going on the trip except for me. This was November of last year. And even though we just went to Dallas, Texas, but just the fact that it's really hard to surprise me. I'm very nosy, especially when it comes to my kids doing things. I'm just really involved in their lives. But we went to it's a Japanese steakhouse here called here in Summerlin, Nevada. Very nice restaurant if anybody's ever in town. Really good food. And so towards the end of dinner, they present me with this box, and there's all this money inside of this box, and I'm just pulling the money out of this box, and at the end of it was a ticket. And they had went live on Facebook. Everybody was cracking up laughing. They surprised me. It's like, Mom, we're going on the trip. We're going on the trip. And I was like, who's going on the trip? I'm like, I'm not going on no trip. And they're like, yeah. And they went, and they even went shopping and got me new clothes. And it was just a very great surprise. And and with that surprise, I had to go home and pack, completely forgetting that I have this podcast with the Miracle Plant. I believe it was that Friday morning, if I'm not mistaken. And so we're rushing around. Fast forward, we're in Dallas and we're all in there. And I'm like, oh my God, I need a computer. Like, I got to get, I'm going to be on this podcast to share me and Zaria's story about our journey with CBD. And I'm just freaking out, and I'm going back and forth. And they're like, go downstairs, there's computers. So I ended up using the hotel's computers. And then one computer started having problems, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to make it. But I ended up making it. We was able to get the audio and everything together so that I could be on the Miracle Plant podcast. That was really fun. I really enjoyed being on there and telling everybody our story. But I wasn't even at home. I was in a whole different city and state. So the power of technology, again, just being able to be wherever you are in the world and be able to speak and share your story, just like here in the clubhouse. It's absolutely amazing. This is really cool. I really love it. I thank God for technology. It has its moments, but I really thank God for technology, and thank God for you guys. I appreciate all of you guys' advice and information being in the cannabis industry. It's absolutely awesome. I feel like we're all like one big family. It's really beautiful.
Absolutely. And I also remember that little anecdote from that story was that even your daughter, Zaria, didn't spill the beans about the surprise. I remember you being so impressed by that as well. So.
Yeah, I really know for a fact that if she wasn't taking CBD, she wouldn't have been able, cognitively, she wouldn't have understood what was going on. But she did understand what was going on, because when they said surprise, she was saying it with them. And then she was laughing and pointing to me, "Hi, you didn't know." So I think that just made me just tear up even more. Yeah, it truly is a miracle plant. I really am so proud of her and all the goals that she's starting to hit now. And I really thank God for that, because I feel like, oh, my daughter can have a good quality of life. She can have a good future. Back when she was first diagnosed with autism, I had no clue what her life was going to look like. So I'm really passionate about helping families who have a new autism diagnosis, really passionate about educating them as much as possible and sharing my story with them on how, if I were you, if my child was 4 or 5 or 6, I would definitely be open to trying this treatment versus prescription drugs. So thanks again, Dan, for reminding me. That was a good memory.
Oh, you're welcome. That was a great interview.
So cool. I don't want to get this to go too long because this is a recording for the podcast. We can talk about this for hours on end, and we will. We'll be here every Saturday at 10 a.m. sharing stories. And if it's up to you, Dan, if you can make it, I think this would be a great time to do a podcast. I know they've also really upped their audio on here. So your normal setting right now is normal, but you can actually crank it up one more level to highest. It takes a little bit more bandwidth. But I think the audio on here sounds great, don't you think?
Yeah, I can crank it up to 11.
Yeah, that's Morris's line. Morris.
Yeah.
Eagle. He has hemp guitars that are electric, and he has hemp amps that are made of hemp. And there's literally on the dial it goes up to 11.
Yeah, that's from a movie Spinal Tap.
Yeah. Those guys are great. But I love the audio quality.
We can make this work every Saturday. That'd be fun.
Love it. I certainly love it. Any final comments from anybody before we wrap up the room and wrap up the show?
Thank you for having me today. And I want to tell everybody to definitely try the CBD 101. Check out our hemp classes at cloverleafuniversity.com. And thank you for all having me today, and all of our audience and all of our listeners. Much love and healing to all of you.
Love it.
Love it. Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Thank you, everyone, for listening on the Miracle Plant podcast. If you would do us just one little teeny favor when you're listening to this podcast, if you could leave us a review, that would mean so much to us. All the reviews really help the algorithms on Apple, help people find us, because there are people out there that are looking for a miracle. They really are. They have serious health ailments, or their children or their family members or their loved ones, and they're searching, just like LaTara was. Just like I was, just like Chloe was for her brother. And I'm sure Dan as well. I know it's been helping with his ski instructing, and he's got his feet are turning into hamburger because the poor guy's out there on the bunny slopes helping people all this time, and it's helping him with his inflammation and pain. And so just by reviewing the podcast and then leaving a review on Apple, people are going to help find us and hear these stories and have access to free products and education and free hemp seeds that could really change their lives. And we highly recommend that as well. So just thanks everyone for popping in and listening. Again, if you have any questions, you can go to www.themiracleplant.org and check us out there. And I'm super grateful to have all of our guests, Dan and Chloe and LaTara. And we will be back, same bat time, same bat channel, same bat clubhouse, Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific. And hope everyone has a beautiful, wonderful Saturday. And we're so happy that we had this moment and this time to spend together. And until then, we'll see you next week. Thanks, everybody, for coming by the Miracle Plant Podcast. Take care.